Hello, friends. So I hope this finds you well. Since last night, have been feeling called to really share this horse's kind of communication and story. So if I've learned anything, it's to trust that those little pings, those nudges, those things that kind of come back and say, hey, like this, do this, even though you may not understand why you're doing it or what the point is or how it's even going to come out, but we do it anyway because we're getting those nudges for a reason. So this horse specifically was rounded up. Oh my gosh, sorry. Cat. This horse specifically was rounded up, I believe, from the Warm Springs Reservation. Either way, she's a Mustang and she was rounded up, whether it was from the Warm Springs herd area or management area, HMA, or she's from the Warm Springs Reservation specifically. Either way, she was rounded up. When she was rounded up, she was pretty pregnant, and I think it took about 2 to 3 months after she was rounded up to finally have her baby. And so that's kind of where I will leave this story for now and then kind of come back to that in a little bit. So once she was rounded up, she was rescued by Three Sisters Equine Rescue here in Bend, Oregon, and was given care and fostered at a vet's house and successfully had her baby once she finally was ready to have her baby. But she was one of the first, I would say she was the first wild Mustang, first wild horse I have connected in with on like a full scale. So there had been a couple others that I had checked in with in the past, but this was my first real kind of reading with a wild Mustang in a full sense. So I thought it might be nice to share a picture of her so you have an idea. This is when she was rescued. And this is her. Her name is Madi. And she was, she walked right onto the trailer, and I connected in with her, I think pretty soon after, like either while she was being transported, so like right after, or like once she had arrived where she was going to be fostered. So the way that for anybody who doesn't know how I communicate with animals is through meditation. So I have found that I am more connected with an animal when I am not being distracted by the outside world in any way, shape, or form. So I don't do it live. I don't do it in person. I do it here where I'm in my own space, my own sphere, and I'm not being inundated by other outside forces because that just takes me away from the animal's energy and our connection. And it's just the way that I prefer to do it. So I type up as I'm going everything that's happening so that I have a really clear understanding and clear kind of dialogue transcript of what occurred, because I want to know all the things. Like if it's my animal, I want to know all the things. So I want to be able to provide that for others. And because when I'm connected in, it's like I'm connected, and therefore I don't remember a lot of what happens. And so I need to have this in order to then be able to even tell anybody about it. Because if I were to wait until the end and then write it down, I would miss so much. So it's actually really funny. Sometimes I'll have clients after the fact be like, oh, da 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 da, about like, oh, like that's so interesting because she said this da 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 in the reading. Like, did she? Like, I don't remember. Anyway, so I have this transcript, and I just really feel like I meant to read it for all of you. So for those of you that are watching this, enjoy. So Also, part of my process is when I'm connecting in, I ground into the center of the earth where I see a crystal and the crystal changes for each reading. And for her, I connected in with a gold crystal, and I don't have the meaning in front of me, but I'm sure I could, I will look it up. Hold on. All right. So this is from Tiny Rituals, the website. And gold crystals are a wealth of self, abundance, and energy. These are just a few of the pleasures that golden gemstones bring to the party. Gold comes in many forms: the color of the sun, the coin in your pocket, the cherry flower bowing in the meadow. It's a color of light, luck, and a full and precious life. Goldstones are here to rouse you out of dormancy and to show you the doorway to all of the delights. And then, of course, there's other things about physical healing, mental healing, spiritual healing, but that just gives you a pretty nice setup to the rest of this story. So let me pull up her photo again and let's continue. So she came in and immediately put her head on my shoulder, like she was hugging me. She felt like she was insecure, sad, and needed to be reassured. She needed to know she was okay. Like things have been really chaotic and anxious, and she wanted to know and be reassured that things were going to and were changing. I assured her that they were, and that she's in amazing hands with Katie, who was the woman who was trailering her at the time, which it felt like she knew. It also looked like she was carrying a lot of the baby or weight on her right side. And that side looked like it was bluing out more from like an energy perspective. I got the sense about her name. And immediately it felt like she was mostly concerned with her foal, which she was pregnant with at the time. And I went to work there. So starting the process with a lot of my readings, I start with a healing and energetic clearing before moving into the conversation, which is what we did here. So first, sending some healing golden energy into the womb area, and then inserting a tube with the intention of removing any negative emotions, anxieties, and traumas that may negatively affect or impact the baby. So kind of like a drain, if you will, if you had some kind of injury, or an animal had an injury and had to have a drain put in, something very similar to that, where it was allowing that kind of negative energy to drain out of her system. This really felt directed by the mom. She is really concerned and wants her baby to have the best chance. Once the grossness filtered out, I sent even more healing golden energy into the foal's area. And I saw an image, because I see a lot of images, of the foal being either a paint or a black horse. But at this point, none of us knew because she was still in her belly. Once the baby felt like it was in good hands, I moved to the mama, placing my hands on her head and asking for negative, stagnant, or anything no longer serving her to drain out of her hooves. And for her, this always looks different for every animal, but for her, it looked like water, mud, and rocks pouring out of her hooves. And so once that kind of stopped, we sucked the remaining out, flushed her whole body out so that none of that was remaining. And hold on, I lost my spot. And flushed her out, and it looked like the womb has this thick layer around it. This felt like it was the trauma, anxiety, stagnant energy that was stuck. And we were able to kind of peel it off this womb area, kind of like a hard-boiled egg shell from a hard-boiled egg. Once this shell was removed, I created a golden ball of energy around the womb and encased it in healing and uplifting energy. Then moved on to the mama and filled her with love, acceptance, patience, and relationships. And relationships from the sense of friends, partners, family, relationships, all feel really important to her. And then we moved on to a conversation. And I said, "Hi, lady, what do you want to say?" And she said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know my time was limited there, and I am really scared to be away from those that I know And I could feel her immensely sad with the knowing of what could take place, where she came from, and the fate that is awaiting those that she's left behind. And I feel this immense gratitude and guilt within her because of it, because she was able to get out and the others weren't. I felt this sadness for her friends and sad that she feels selfish for jumping at the chance to save her baby. This baby feels like it means everything to her. She will do so much to keep him safe, loved, and cared for. When she says thank you, it is not for saving her life. It is for saving her babies. She feels so wholesome, loving, and a fierce protector of her loved ones. And then I asked her, what do you want your caretakers to know? These people who are going to be taking care of you. And this happens a lot too, where they don't say anything. I just get images and I see and hear people talking to her in a quiet voice. It feels like she is really craving some solitude right now, quiet, alone space, alone time where she can decompress, reset, and realign to her new life. The reset feels like she gets to focus on the health of her baby versus the sheer will to survive and find a way to save her baby. I see her laying down in a smallish space. There looks like there are shavings, so maybe a stall of some kind where she is really just resting, truly resting and recollecting herself. And I said, is there anything else that you want to share? And I just saw a bucket of milk, but I wasn't sure what that meant. And that's where we left it, because I find that a lot of animals who have trauma or are going through something in some kind of emergency type situation, they don't tend to have a lot of words because they're so immersed and encased in the thing that they're currently experiencing that they're not able to relax and open up enough to have a conversation like that. So whether they're super sick or super injured, or even in the midst of this very unknown, uncertain time, having a conversation can be more difficult. So let's see, I think I want to share another. So anyway, she ended up having her baby. Her baby was named Iris. Iris was Black. And unfortunately, Iris had a suspensory ligament injury, I believe. She had some kind of injury when she foaled, and she wasn't really eating. So the bucket of milk now made sense, because they needed her to be able to drink a bucket of milk in order to survive. And unfortunately, she didn't make it. Now, I don't know for sure. However, I would guess, I would not be surprised if this injury to Iris didn't happen during Roundup, just because of how traumatic that can be. Even if she doesn't fall down, even if she's not like kicked or trampled or anything like that, the sheer anxiety of it can do all the things, right? And so being rounded up, and I don't know what her roundup looked like, so I don't know how traumatic or non-traumatic it was from a physical standpoint, but from an emotional, spiritual, psychological standpoint, it's very taxing, because you're taking an animal from their environment, from their home, from their family, and saying that's no longer true for you. You now need to adapt. And that alone, having been so far along with her, likely caused some of these issues. And why she was so concerned, or maybe she already knew. Maybe Maddie, who is the mare, already knew she had some issues, the full Iris. And that's why she was so concerned, and she was wanting her to have the best chance. And she did. She had the best chance at surviving, and unfortunately did not make it. Now, somebody at the barn who is a shaman did a journey for Iris and kind of journeyed her soul and saw her soul drop into a gray mare who was already pregnant. So basically her soul dropped in to this mare who was already cooking a baby. And I want to show you this next photo, who is a picture of Luna, who is a gray mare, and her new baby, Arrow, who is a paint colt. So Iris is living on through Arrow. And Luna was, I'm not sure exactly where Luna came from, but Luna is a Mustang who was rescued and is likely going to spend her time at, I believe, the Wild Horse Sanctuary, if not the Wild Horse Sanctuary, Skydog Sanctuary, because not all of these Mustangs, not all of these wild horses who are rounded up are suitable or are okay with having any kind of domesticated life. They're like, that's not what I signed up for. I didn't ask for this, and therefore I will refuse to be part of this. And I think they all have the right to have that conversation, because they didn't have the right or a say in if they were to leave or to go, or to stay or to leave their own the land that they knew that they were living on. And so they get to live on, and this happens, right? We all reincarnate in different ways over different lifetimes to learn all the different lessons that we can. And Iris, unfortunately, couldn't make it. And so, not because her body couldn't make it, now her soul gets to live on through a body that can. So I think I'm going to leave it here. There's not, I mean, this is just, Madi is going to be moving to Vermont to be at a sanctuary in Vermont so that she can have the life that she wants to have. She has been in domestication for, let's see, since May of last year. And I think her favorite part of domestication are mashes. It's not something that she has been super welcoming of humans. It's more tolerating of humans. And so she gets the chance to have a life of freedom in at a sanctuary. It's not a free choice, right? There's going to be vet care and the fact of being at a place that has to be manned and staffed and all of that. And so there are these beautiful wild horse type sanctuaries throughout the country, throughout the West, especially, that allow these horses who have been taken from their land to live a life very similar to what they were living previously, in a way that they don't have to start to learn and adapt to domestication because it may not work for them. So if you would like to donate to Madi's care or to Arrow's care or to Luna's care, I would direct you to Three Sisters Equine Rescue. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to give you their information and you can directly donate to them. They just opened a Patreon page, so you can support them through that and see behind the scenes and get swag and all that. And then once the sanctuary where Madi's going is up and running, I'm happy to share their information as well. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything that I can as it pertains to any of this. Horses are magical, magical beings, and animals are magical, magical beings. And if I could say anything, I would say we need to spend a little bit more time as humans listening and understanding what they are saying, what they are trying to say, giving time to give them an actual voice, and then doing what we can to support them and provide them what it is that they are asking for. So not saying, well, nope, you gotta confine and can do all the things that I'm saying because this is what I want and you're here to serve me, because they're not here. They're not here to serve us in that capacity. We're here to be partners. And in that there is service. However, if you are treating them as if they are a tool and that they are below you, then there's likely a disconnect, and there are beautiful things that you're missing out on that they can give you. And I will leave it at that. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. And otherwise, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.